Rogers Arena in Vancouver is the venue for the post-game show of record. The show that keeps viewers up until the wee hours of the morning has also been known to put them to sleep, but not tonight. As our guest on After Hours is Canuck goaltender Cory Schneider, widely regarded as the best backup in the league, who would be a starter on many other teams. So you can see where we're going here tonight. But let's start with a more relaxing question, shall we? You're not a dead ringer for Daniel and Henrik, but the red hair and the facial structure provides a bit of a resemblance. Yep. So here's a tweet from Bieksa_Lover3.
Is that really Kevin? I was wondering
I think her name is Helen, but anyway. Okay. Have you ever been called Henrik or Daniel or a Sedin by accident?
Yeah, actually quite often. A lot of times when fans see us or I walk by, they'll yell at Henrik or Daniel, and I kind of have to stop and break the bad news. I'm not one of them.
Actually, somebody else tweeted, and I don't have it in front of me right now. There you go. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a dead ringer there. I take that back.
You know what? You take Rafi, and we had Alex Bolduc. We had a lot of redheads on this team.
That is true. What was the question earlier
the
about?
Question, it was from I can't remember, and I can't find it now. I do remember,
said about
though, it was
5 gingers?
Guts McTavish, 24, said all the Canuck goals tonight were scored by the gingers, by redheads.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, I think we bring a lot of charisma to this team and a lot of character. So
that's the Canucks' new strategy. I was going to say a minute ago that somebody else had tweeted, and I can't find that one, but the question they were asking you was, do you consider yourself to be the better-looking younger Sedin brother?
I get the Sedin triplet sometimes. That's not for me to say, though, you know?
Let's get to hockey. Kevin.
Well, you're off to an amazing start, obviously, with your record being 10-3-2. How comfortable are you feeling now in the net at this point in the season?
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, earlier in my career when I came up, I got real nervous and jittery and was afraid to make mistakes and get yelled at by my teammates and everything. And I think they could sense that a little bit. But this year it's been different from preseason on. I felt really at ease and part of this team. And I think when you have so many experienced guys and guys who've been here for a while, that you just work so well together and you get comfortable with each other really easily.
It's hard, Cory, for a backup goaltender to have a breakout season, especially if you're backing up Roberto Luongo. But you're having one, and some of the credit, we understand, goes to Rolly Melanson. What's he taught you?
Sure. I mean, I got drafted back in #04, so I feel like I've been a prospect forever. So it's about time I kind of cracked the lineup here. But he's done wonders for me. He's really taught me to stay in my paint and trust my angles and my puck tracking and not get caught out of my crease too much. And I think when you let pucks hit you and find you, that it's worked a lot better for me. I don't get scrambling around and diving all over the place.
As dominant as you were in the American League, and you were dominant, you became very dominant, how tough was it for you when you first got to the American League, making that transition from playing at school?
Well, I'm going to add to that for a second, because I had a long conversation with Craig Heisinger last week about you, and he said it took you forever to get your first win in the American Hockey League. To the extent that, that felt like forever to them. To the extent that they were starting to pick your starts for you to get you that first win. So just to follow up on what Kevin said, is there a chance that maybe you underestimated the degree of difficulty in the pro game? Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Coming out of college, you feel like you're on top of the world, you know everything, and the pro game is a lot different, at least for a goaltender. The scoring areas are different, the players are more talented, and you almost have to adjust to where the dangerous areas on the ice are. And I think it took me a good half season to figure that out. And as I mentioned earlier, just getting confident and comfortable and feeling like you belong at that level. All right, so 2 years ago, you were expected to contend for the backup job here, and you did, but Curtis Sanford got it. Last year, Andrew Raycroft got it. How difficult was it to accept for a guy who was drafted in the first round, having to go down 2 years in a row? It was hard. I think after my first year, it was more expected. I was looking to go down and dominate for a full year in the American League, and we had a great year. We made it to the finals, and I kind of said, all right, this is the year I'm going to push. And for that year to not making it sent down was disappointing at first, but I ended up playing 60 games in the American League, and I think after that, it was almost like nothing can phase you anymore. You've seen pretty much everything you see here, and I think that gave me that extra boost of confidence to make it this year. For a lot of the fans out there that don't necessarily understand, maybe you can explain the difference between playing at the American League level, the gap between the American League and then once you come to the NHL, because in some senses it's harder in the NHL, but yet in some senses it's a little bit easier. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the American League is a little bit more scrambly. You got guys running around a little more, not picking up their assignments, not picking up loose guys, so
you know, there are a few more open people, a few more chances that wouldn't happen here. Because here it seems like everyone knows where their man is. They take away rebounds, they pick up sticks, they do a great job in that sense. But I think here, when they get a scoring chance, when NHL shooters, they get a chance to put it where they want to, they can do that. And in the American League, you know, they might miss the net, it might roll off their stick, they might not get exactly where they want to put it. So it seems like the dangerous scorers in this league really know how to finish.
Cory, turning point in your pro career might have been partway through your first season when you were having difficulty getting that first one. I think your record was 3-7 thereabouts by Christmas. Scott Arneal, then the coach of the Moose, calls you into his office and tells you what?
He said, you're going to get the start tonight, but we don't really want to. I think Drew McIntyre was up here at the time because of injury. And, you know, I think it was that or get sent down to the East Coast League for some conditioning and get some games in there. So he really just laid it on the line. He kind of tore me apart and picked apart my game and my professionalism and all that thing, and he didn't say I was ready. So it was that challenge that night where I played a good game, and it just took off from there.
Well, when you think about, you know, at Phillips Academy, prep school, you were a star. Then you go to Boston College, and twice you lead the Eagles to the Frozen Four final. So basically all you'd done till you got to the American League was win. Now here's a guy telling you, you're not good enough.
Yeah, it's tough, especially, you know, like you said, being on top. You don't get criticized a lot. People don't tell you what you need to work on. People kind of tell you how good you are all the time, and you don't really focus on the things that you need to. And I think he was the first person in my career to really sit me down and lay it on the line and kind of challenge me as a player, as a professional. And, you know, I got the memo.
You took it in exactly the right way, though.
Yeah, yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah. And going through those types of things, that type of adversity, it builds that character. It gives you the idea of how to get through those situations. How has that helped you now that you're here full time to be able to lean on a lot of those experiences?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, you know, you kind of learn over the course of time that it's never as bad as it seems, but it's also never as good as it seems. So you kind of have to stay somewhere in the middle. But I think, you know, overcoming that adversity and fighting through it and believing in yourself and finding that confidence is huge. And, you know, a lot of people might question the American League about, you know, what it's for or the developmental aspect. But for me, you know, my 3 years was well spent, and you know, every minute I learned something, and I think it's prepared me well to play in this league. So yeah, I think it was a valuable contributor.
Cory, a couple of points on your circumstances here. Let's go back to '06 when the Canucks traded for Roberto Luongo. Now, you're at Boston College then, and 2 years earlier you'd been drafted in the first round by the Canucks, as we say. So you're probably thinking, hey, someday I'm going to start for the Canucks. And then they acquire Luongo. How exactly did you hear about it, and what did you think?
Well, I remember I was at a buddy's house, and I just kind of saw it on the bottom line or something like that. And, you know, I was still a little naive in college. Just everything seemed so far away that I didn't really put two and two together. But, you know, I kind of texted my agent and I said, well, what does that mean exactly? They traded for Luongo. And he kind of dodged the question and said, well, think of it this way. At least goalies are making $6.5 million a year now. So he, I think he knew exactly what was going on, but I didn't quite understand at the time. But you know what? It's been great playing with Lou and learning under him and working with him. You know, we've gotten along really well this year, and to see him every single day has been, you know, it's been a treat for me.
He's only got 11 years left on his contract, so I think that would suggest that it's going to be tough for you to become a starter here. But with the way you're playing, your value is only going up. Here's a tweet from Passit Tabulis. Ask Schneider. That's his handle, by the way, Passit Tabulis. Ask Schneider if he's ever considered putting laxative in Luongo's water like Danny Sabarin did to get some playoff minutes. You know what he's talking about? That was the the series against Anaheim.
Well, like we talked about, you never want to get your hands dirty. You got to have someone else do it for you. So that way you stay away from the crime scene. Yeah, exactly.
Great answer.
Smart.
We'll conclude the backup role with this question. What have you learned from Roberto Luongo? Because there are benefits to playing behind him. Obviously.
Absolutely. I think, well, first of all, I think it's allowed me to ease into the league a little bit. You know, he's gotten some of the tougher starts to start the year, and they were able to pick my starts a bit. But I think just the way we work together on the ice with Rolly and Melanson and just seeing him compete and how hard he prepares for every single game. This is a guy who I think one year played 76 games, and to me that's just mind-boggling to be able to play that many games at such a high level. So, you know, I think, like I said, just watching his work ethic and his professionalism every game, it just, you know, pushes me to be that much better.
Great. Cory Schneider's our guest on After Hours. When we come back, we'll talk about the way in which he is honoring the history of goaltenders past from Vancouver as we continue from Rogers Arena. Back with you at Rogers Arena in Vancouver. Cory Schneider of the Canucks, our guest on After Hours after 3 years in the American League, clearly in the NHL to stay. Cory, here's a tweet from a guy named the Falconer. It's not a question, he says, but make sure you get Schneider to do his Jannik Hansen impression. Apparently it's better than Burroughs doing Crawford.
Little bit of Jannik Hansen.
Keep going. That's pretty good. Keep going.
I don't know how happy I am doing this, but all the boys love it. They think it's hilarious, so I do it every now and then, especially Coach V.
Very good. You just made the show.
Yeah,
There's a lot of work.
Probably gonna shoot a fuck in my head next time now.
A lot of work went into the mask that you unveiled on the occasion of the Canucks' 40th anniversary. So tell us about the design.
Yeah, I want to do something throwback, a little old school, just to, like you said, pay homage to the goalies past. And I came up with this with my paint guy, who is a pretty good guy.
Who's your painter?
Derek Gilders.
Gilders Design.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of gave him the theme, and he came back with this idea of all the masks. So, we got Kirk McLean and Ridley and Garrett and Bromley, all those guys. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to mix new and old. Just,
Sweet.
I like
that.
40th anniversary. Yeah. So some of the past guys, like those guys, have come up and said thank you and that they appreciate it. And I'm not that individualistic. I don't have enough things to put on there myself, so I had no idea what to do. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool to do a little
Well,
throwback.
you got Schneider on the back plate, but I understand there is something, an expression you may add to that later.
Add the Schneids?
Yeah. It's from Monty Python.
Oh, right. Yeah. I usually get Nutshell Pass put on the back as well.
Yeah.
My dad is a huge Monty Python fan, so he had me watching The Holy Grail when I was a little kid. And the Black Knight would stand there and say Nutshell Pass. So I usually have it on there. It kind of got missed this time, but we'll make sure it's on there next time.
Nice.
Okay,
so what about the blocker? Yeah.
This is something I started doing in college, because even when I broke in college, I used to get
away, Scott. That's teamwork.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Love that.
I used to get pretty nervous during games, and this is something I started doing my freshman year, and just little notes, little cheat sheet on my blocker. So every now and then, if you're in,
just like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, you're in the soup, and you get a little worried. You turn down, you look at it, it just kind of calms you down. So I don't use it quite as much as I used to, but I think maybe it's good luck, or maybe it's just something that I do to keep me steady still.
Yeah,
we're racing here, so I want to get this in, Kevin. They still talk in Manitoba about the Super Bowl party the Moose had, in which you and Alex Bolduc provided the halftime entertainment. Before you answer, we have some video of it, so let's have a look.
No way. Seriously?
No, we don't. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, I don't know, cell phone cameras existed back then.
Never mind. Just wanted to get.
It actually was pretty good, though.
See
So
what
we
the
got to show it. I wouldn't get that embarrassed. It was actually pretty good.
All right, you grew up in Marblehead, Boston suburb, a suburb which made you, by birth, obviously legally obligated to become a Boston Red Sox fan. You played 2 years of varsity baseball at prep school, Phillips Academy. Could you have just as easily pursued baseball as a pro sport?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I was a catcher there, so I must have some sort of equipment fetish. I just like wearing the gear. I think it's more fun. I mean, I only played in the spring. Summers were consumed with hockey, and at that point, I kind of made my mind up. But it was something I loved doing. I still miss baseball to this day. And like you said, a huge Red Sox fan, so I go home in the summer. Watch a lot of games.
Final quick question. You left Boston College after your junior year without your degree. Do you have it now?
I do. I got it in December.
Nice. Congrats, man.
Yeah. So came back in the summers. Yep, did classes.
And your degree's in?
What's that?
Finance.
Finance, yes.
Nice.
So finance.
Is there anyone on the Canuck roster smarter than you?
Yeah, of course there are. I think, a bunch of guys are a lot smarter than me. I'm just a goalie. I don't know anything.
You were the best goalie not in the NHL last year. This year, you're the best backup, not a starter. Don't worry, Cory. The future is coming.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully.
Cory Schneider, the Vancouver Canucks, our guest in After Hours. Back to conclude the proceedings from the Rogers Arena in Vancouver in a moment. Thanks, Cory. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.